Have you ever looked into your husband's eyes across the dinner table, or perhaps first thing in the morning, and felt a sudden, chilling realization that the person looking back at you is absolutely not the man you married? I am not speaking about him changing his habits, or growing distant, or going through a midlife crisis. I am speaking about a visceral, energetic knowing that the soul you signed a contract with is simply no longer in the building. You look at his hands, his face, the way he walks, and while the biological vessel is familiar, the energy animating it feels like a complete stranger. Perhaps you have tried to dismiss this feeling. You tell yourself you are imagining things, that stress is getting to you, or that relationships just evolve over time. But deep down, in the seat of your intuition, you know something profound has shifted. You feel a frequency dissonance that actually makes you physically uncomfortable to be in the same room. You might find that he suddenly has no recollection of shared intimate memories, or his tastes have changed overnight, or the emotional bond you spent decades building has evaporated, not due to anger, but due to a complete lack of resonance. If you are nodding your head, if you are feeling a wave of recognition wash over you right now, you are not crazy. You are not alone. And most importantly, what you are experiencing is one of the most guarded secrets of the metaphysical universe. You are likely witnessing what the late, great regressionist Dolores Cannon documented in thousands of her quantum healing hypnosis technique sessions. You are witnessing the phenomenon of the walk-in, or perhaps a soul exchange. This is a topic that many fear to touch because it challenges the very fabric of our reality and our understanding of death and life. But we do not have the luxury of fear anymore. As we accelerate toward the critical splitting of the worlds, as the frequency of this planet rises to meet the new Earth, these spiritual anomalies are becoming the norm. The veil is thinning, and the contracts are being rewritten in real time. For over 40 years, Dolores Cannon communicated with the subconscious, the SC, the source of all knowledge, and she uncovered that the human body is merely a suit. It is a biological vehicle, and sometimes the driver of that vehicle decides to get out before the ride is over. We have been conditioned to believe that the only way a soul leaves a body is through the physical death of the vessel. We think the heart must stop, the breath must cease, for the spirit to depart. But Dolores taught us that the universe is far more efficient than that. If a soul has completed its karma, or if it is simply too tired to continue, but the body is still healthy and viable, a deal can be struck. A contract can be renegotiated in the spirit realm. The original occupant, the man you knew, may have essentially handed over the keys to another entity. A new soul who needed a body to perform a specific mission during this time of planetary transition. This realization can be shattering. You are grieving a living person. You are mourning the loss of a husband who is still sitting on the couch watching television. This is a unique, specific type of grief that society has no name for. You feel guilty because he is still there, yet you feel abandoned because he is gone. The vibration has changed. You might find that the new him is colder, more analytical, or perhaps surprisingly spiritual in a way the old him never was. Or, in more difficult cases, the vessel might now be occupied by what we call a placeholder energy, or the lights are on but nobody is home, creating a vacuum where a personality used to be. This is often part of the great separation of densities we are currently living through. The old Earth, the 3D reality of heavy karma and dense lessons, is peeling away from the new Earth, the 5D reality of love and instant manifestation. Relationships are the primary battleground for this shift. If you are a starseed, a light worker, or a volunteer, terms Dolores used to describe those souls here to help the Earth shift, you are evolving at a rapid pace. Your frequency is rising daily. If your partner's soul decided it could not or would not make this jump, they faced a choice: physical death or a silent exit, a soul exit. This is why so many of you are experiencing this stranger phenomenon right now. It is not an accident. It is a symptom of the timeline split. We must understand that a marriage certificate is a 3D document, but a soul contract is a multidimensional agreement. When you married him, you agreed to learn certain lessons together. But what happens when one soul finishes the curriculum and the other is just beginning? What happens when the frequency gap becomes so wide that the original soul of your husband literally cannot inhabit the same space as you without short-circuiting? They often choose to leave. And if the body remains, you are left with the confusion of the walk-in. In this video, we are going to pull back the curtain on this phenomenon. We are going to explore the mechanics of how a soul leaves a body without dying, why this is happening en masse right now, and most importantly, what this means for you. If you are living with a walk-in, or if you suspect your partner's soul has departed, your mission has changed. You are no longer in the same marriage. You are in a new contract. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly who or what is sleeping beside you and why your soul agreed to witness this bizarre and profound transition. The confusion ends today. To understand how a husband, a wife, or a partner can simply leave while their body remains sitting across from you, we must look at the mechanics of the soul as revealed to me in thousands of hours of regression therapy. You see, the subconscious, that massive, all-knowing part of the mind that I worked with, explained that the soul is not glued to the physical body. It is attached by what is often called the silver cord, an energetic tether that keeps the consciousness anchored to the vessel. But this connection is voluntary. It is a choice made every single day. We tend to think of life as a prison sentence that we must endure until the body fails, but the universe is far more fluid than that. In the spirit realm before you were born, you entered into a contract with the soul of your husband. You stood in the Hall of Records, you looked at the script for this life, and you agreed to play certain roles for one another. Perhaps he agreed to be your support system, or perhaps he agreed to be the catalyst for your awakening through pain and resistance. But contracts in the spirit world have exit clauses. This is something the religious texts do not tell you. There are exit points built into every life plan. These are moments, usually during a severe illness, a near-death experience, a surgery, or a deep depressive episode, where the soul has the option to check out. They review their progress and say, "I have done what I came to do," or conversely, "This is too hard. I cannot finish this class. I want to go home." In the past, on the old earth, this usually meant the physical death of the body. You would become a widow. You would grieve, bury the body, and move on. But we are living in unprecedented times. We are in the time of the great shift, the separation of the two earths. The demand for physical bodies is higher than ever because every soul wants to be here to witness this transition. So the councils found a solution. Waste not, want not. If a soul wants to leave but the body is healthy, why destroy the vessel? Why not allow another soul, one that is fresh, energized, and ready to work, to step in and take over the driver's seat? This is the classic walk-in scenario. The exchange usually happens during sleep or a traumatic event. The old soul slips out and the new soul slips in. The memories are downloaded from the brain, like accessing a hard drive. So the new tenant knows who you are, knows your name, and knows the history. But they do not feel the emotional attachment to that history. This is the smoking gun. This is why you feel that coldness. The new soul has the data, but they do not have the heart connection you built over 20 years. They are looking at you through a filter of politeness, perhaps even kindness, but the fire of recognition is gone. However, there is a darker, more confusing aspect to this that I uncovered in my later work, particularly in The Convoluted Universe. Sometimes the original soul leaves, but no new soul enters to replace it immediately. The body is left running on its automatic systems. The subconscious explained to me that the body has a biological consciousness of its own. It knows how to eat, how to sleep, how to go to work, and how to repeat the patterns it has learned for 50 years. It becomes what we might call a backdrop person or a shell. The lights are on, the engine is running, but there is no driver behind the wheel. If you are living with a partner who seems to have become robotic, who repeats the same conversations, who seems incapable of deep spiritual growth or emotional depth, you might be dealing with a vessel that is currently unoccupied by a higher complex soul. They have become part of the background energy of the 3D matrix. This is incredibly painful for you, the starseed, because you are seeking connection, and you are trying to connect with a biological machine that is simply playing out a program. Why is this happening? Why would the universe allow this heartbreak? We must look at vibration as you awaken, as you meditate, as you absorb the new frequencies bombarding our planet. Your personal vibration is skyrocketing. You are moving toward the 5D frequency. If your husband was a younger soul or a soul deeply entrenched in the heavy karma of the 3D Earth, the gap between your vibrations became a chasm. Energy laws are physics. They are absolute. Two disparate frequencies cannot occupy the same space without friction. If he stayed in his original state, the intensity of your light would have physically made him ill. So, the decision was made in the higher realms. To save the vessel and to release him from a pressure he could not withstand, he was allowed to exit. If a walk-in entered, it is likely a soul that is more compatible with the times we are living in, but they are here for a mission, not necessarily for the marriage. They are here to hold the grid, to stabilize the energy. They inherited the marriage as part of the cover story, but they do not have the karma to work out with you. That karma left with the old soul. This brings us to the pivot. You must stop looking at this as a tragedy of abandonment and start seeing it as a graduation. You are not a victim of a husband who stopped loving you. You are a master soul who agreed to be the witness to a walk-in event. You agreed to be the ground crew who would help this new entity integrate, or you agreed to release the old soul so they could continue their evolution elsewhere. You are holding on to a contract that has already been stamped fulfilled by the source. The pain you feel is you trying to drag the old Earth timeline into the new Earth reality. It is heavy, it is exhausting, and it is unnecessary. The man you married is gone because he had to go. The question now is not, how do I get him back? But why am I still here? So, where does this leave you? We are standing on the precipice of the greatest event in the history of the universe. The year 2026 marks a definitive acceleration in the splitting of the worlds. For decades I warned that this time would come, a time when the old Earth and the new Earth would separate like a cell dividing. You can no longer straddle the fence. You can no longer keep one foot in the dense fear-based reality of the third dimension and one foot in the love-based reality of the fifth dimension. The rubber band is snapping. If your husband's soul has left, or if a walk-in has taken his place, this is the universe cutting your cords to the old Earth. It is a harsh truth, but a necessary one. That relationship, in its original form, was an anchor holding you in a vibrational pattern that you have outgrown. By removing the soul you had the contract with, the universe is essentially freeing you. It is saying, you are done, you have graduated. The person sitting across from you now acts as a mirror. If they are a walk-in, they are a neutral party. If they are an empty vessel, they are a backdrop. In either case, they are no longer the source of your emotional sustenance. And this is the great lesson of the 5D transition. You must become your own source. You are being asked to move into a state of sovereign love. In the new Earth, relationships are not based on need, codependency, or karmic debt. They are based on two whole, complete beings coming together in resonance. You cannot enter the new Earth carrying the heavy baggage of, why doesn't he love me like he used to? Because that version of he no longer exists. So, what is the practical step? How do you live with a stranger? You have two choices, and both require you to stand in your power. The first choice is to accept the new arrangement with unconditional love, but without attachment. You honor the being that is currently in the vessel. You treat them with kindness. You share the rent. You share the meals. But you withdraw your energetic tentacles. You stop going to the dry well seeking water. You stop trying to force the old software into the new computer. When you do this, when you truly let go of the expectation, you might find that this new soul, or this quiet vessel, becomes a perfectly pleasant companion for the remainder of the journey. You coexist in peace while you find your spiritual tribe and your emotional fulfillment elsewhere, perhaps in communities like this one, or in your own connection to Source. The second choice, often made when the vibrational dissonance becomes physically intolerable, is to separate physically. And I want you to hear me clearly. There is no failure in this. In the metaphysics of the new earth, divorce is not a sin. It is often a necessary realignment of physics. If your vibration is vibrating at 500 and his is vibrating at 200, staying together in close quarters can damage your physical vehicle. It can cause fatigue, illness, and depression. You are a volunteer here to hold the light. You cannot hold the light if your battery is constantly being drained by a short circuit in your living room. Listen to your body. It is the final authority. You must remember who you are. You did not come here just to play house. You did not come here just to have a golden anniversary. You came here to disrupt the system. You came here to transmute the densest darkness into light. The fact that you are experiencing this phenomenon, the walk-in, the soul exchange, the shift, is proof of your status as an advanced soul. Only the strongest students are given the hardest tests. You are clearing the lineage, you are breaking the cycle. As we move deeper into this year and beyond, you will see this happening more and more. Friends will change overnight. Family members will seem to fade out. Do not be afraid. This is the sifting. This is the sorting. You are being gathered into the timeline that matches your heart. You are safe. You are protected. And you are immensely powerful. The loneliness you feel is simply the space being cleared for the new tribe that is coming to find you. The new earth is not a place you go to. It is a frequency you embody. And by releasing the ghost of the marriage that was, you make room for the miracle of the life that is waiting to be born. Thank you for being brave enough to listen to this message. Thank you for being brave enough to be here during this tumultuous, beautiful time. You are the family of light. If this message resonated with your soul, if you felt that shimmer of truth down your spine, then you are part of this new earth crew. I invite you to subscribe and join us as we continue to explore these lost knowledges. We are finding each other now. The gathering has begun. You are not alone. You never were.